Hello guys, welcome to our podcast. I'm Dan, known as Dan the Retro Nerd on YouTube. What I feel I can bring to the podcast is survival horrors I enjoyed from the 90s, action adventure games, stuff like that. I've been playing games since about the age of 5. My first gaming experience was that I totally lost myself in was Resident Evil on the original PlayStation. That experience of going home and playing that game every night after school has pretty much engulfed me into that sort of genre of games. My fandom of Resident Evil founded purely through that, and my love for the original PlayStation founded purely through that. That system is the reason I am a retro gamer, and that I can't really discuss the system or that game or that series of games without sounding like a fanboy. But yeah, that's what I feel I can bring to the group: survival horrors and games from the 90s on the PlayStation 1. I shall pass you over to Nick.
Hello, my name is Nick Gibson. I am also known as Nightwing245 on YouTube. What I bring to the table is I have a knowledge of RPGs, such as action RPGs. My favorite series would be Castlevania. The first gaming experience I had was playing an original NES. That was the first system the family had. Later on, I got a original red Game Boy, which I just loved. Probably my favorite memory from when I was a kid is me and my sisters going through Super Mario Brothers 3. Every time someone died, we switch, and we had a rule that you couldn't pause it for more than 15 seconds. I enjoy gaming as a group, local, multiplayer. Nothing beats the online stuff is great, but nothing beats having your friends and playing around with GoldenEye.
Agreed.
And now I would like to pass it to my good friend Kevin.
Salutations, listeners. I'm Kevin Vey. I'm also known as Golden Tales Geek on YouTube. It's like my common internet alias. Maybe sometime I'll explain what it means. If you don't get bored.
I hope you're not getting bored.
Yeah, thank you for that. But yeah, and basically, I feel like I could just discuss any kind of game, but mostly maybe like old school point and click games like Monkey Island and stuff like that. But because I grew up playing those games. But my first gaming experience was playing on my older brother's NES when I was a kid, and also playing a bit of his Game Boy before I got one of my own. Playing like Super Mario Land and stuff like that. But one of my favorite memories of all time was one day both my brother Tavis and I were home, so we basically kind of sat around the TV, basically playing Street Fighter 2 against one another on his Super Nintendo, and we basically made popcorn balls for lunch. It was like, he just stuck together pieces of popcorn with peanut butter in the little balls, and we just ate them, and it was great. It was just a wonderful experience.
That's awesome.
Yeah, gaming brings back so many memories. That's one of the great things about games. There's always a memory attached to a game.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Of course, I haven't really played Street Fighter in a while. I want to try Street Fighter 4 sometime. It looks pretty cool, but it's not on a console I have. So.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, though, that's kind of the sad thing about the current state of gaming. I'm not sure if you guys would agree, but with it all going download only, for the people that are growing up in this era of gaming or the next, if a game is downloadable only, it's going to be a lot harder, say 10, 15 years down the line when they want to revisit their childhood. Like, I can pick off a PS1 game off the wall, and then I can relive my childhood. And
plus,
memories.
Some of these games are like broken the moment you get them. Like Skyrim, you have to download all these patches just to get the dang game to work.
Yeah. And if you decide to revisit that game or become a collector in the later years, 10, 15 years, the updates and the service isn't going to be available. So when you buy that game to add to a collection,
You're pretty much SOL.
yeah, you're not going to be able to enjoy the game to the full extent because it'll be broken.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to make a prediction, I would have to say that in the future, game consoles like the PS3 and 360 will probably, a lot of their value will be worth what games they have on the hard drive.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I also think like custom firmware systems will be the way to go. Like those will become very lucrative to collectors if that's going to be the case. Ones where you can install your own games, like naughty piracy. But if a game goes downloadable only, those
Is it kind of like that old Famicom disk system that they had in Japan a few years, like a while back?
yeah.
Okay, I was just wondering if it was something akin to that you were talking about.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. I just don't like the state of gaming as a whole.
I mean,
I don't get it either.
it's more based on like the graphics and the experience of playing a game rather than good gameplay.
But
Yeah.
what I would consider good graphics, I doubt many people would. For me,
Agreed.
it's not the greatest technology or anything. It's working with what you have. There are some visually pleasing 8-bit games. There's some visually pleasing 16-bit games. Even the current generation of gaming, the most pleasing game I've seen this generation is on the Wii. Skyward Sword is one of the best looking games I've seen.
Yeah, I haven't even played it. I think it looks like almost like, at least the art style to me looks like Zelda crossed with like a Van Gogh painting or something.
Yeah, it does.
And like that conversation me and you had the other time where we felt that the Resident Evil for the GameCube, the graphics look comparable to something of today.
Definitely, and that was like 2002. And
yeah,
My how things change and my how things stay the same.
Definitely. That brings up something else I wish to address. These, do you know what we're going to do, guys? We're going to take away backwards compatibility from your system for an update, and then guess what we're going to do? We're going to give you those games back, but we're going to charge you full retail price, and we're going to make them HD. That's something else that bugs me.
HD remakes, bane of gaming.
Yeah, I just read somewhere that they're actually this one company who's like a subsidiary of Capcom is going to be working on an HD version of Okami for the PS3. Even though it was out on the PS2 and it came out on the Wii recently.
Kevin, there's a screenshot.
I say recently, but a few years ago.
That would be pretty cool, actually. But I don't know.
It's a different company. Sorry,
but that's only because I haven't visited that game originally. If I had already had that game and experienced it, and then they told me the only way I could play it again on current generation hardware was to rebuy it, then it'd be definitely a completely different kettle of fish, and I'd be very annoyed. I like the sound of it only purely because I haven't experienced it yet.
Well, I personally would rather get the Wii version, but because it's easier just to do the celestial brush thing with the Wiimote. But I haven't played it yet, but I've watched an LP of it, and I just think it looks like the kind of game I would really love to get into.
Kevin.
Yes, sir.
I put a link to a screenshot of Resident Evil 1 for the GameCube in the chat box. Check it out and tell me what you think.
All right.
But
yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that was 2002.
10 years ago.
Yeah, you could see, like they were like Nintendo have this. Well, not Nintendo because it was Capcom, but Nintendo and other companies, even Capcom back in their heyday, they had a really good knack for working with the limitations they had and getting the absolute best of the hardware.
Like the Capcom music for like the Mega Man games, their Disney games, like two of the greatest video game music ever composed would be Mega Man 2, Dr. Wily's Castle, and DuckTales The Moon.
Oh yeah.
Two very good themes. Both were on the NES.
Crazy duck in space. I'm sorry, I just love that Frederick Plus song.
So Okay, here's a quick question for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
If you could, what would your favorite games or genres of all time? So if you could only play a certain game or a certain genre for the rest of your life, what would it be and why?
RPG. RPG because, the experience of an RPG.
Hmm.
The games take so long. Like, some can take hundreds of hours, and some of them are, like, so replayable.
Hmm.
Like, if I could only take 3 games on a deserted island with me, it would be Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, Final Fantasy 7, and probably Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic for the Xbox.
Mm.
I you've got to give it to the Elder Scrolls series, even though they kind of went off the ball on Oblivion. They do know how to, keep RPGs at the forefront of gaming. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the fact that Modern Warfare 3 has been such a titan in the gaming industry, and then Skyrim came along and just it, even though it didn't beat it in sales wise, and we didn't know it, we knew it wouldn't. It really gave Call of Duty a run for its money,
Yeah.
and that alone is something to be proud of.
So,
But
do you
Agreed.
have any hope in the Elder Scrolls MMO?
um, I heard some of the news coming out of it, and I'm not too pleased with it or too excited. Mainly
Mm.
just because the things I'm hearing about it are stuff like how they're taking a lot of what makes the Elder Scrolls series really great out of it, so they can make it a more traditional MMO.
I
And
mean, basically, if they could do, to Skyrim what they did to GTA San Andreas, like a patch that allowed multiplayer, it would work.
it would work. That would be quite good. Um,
I don't know.
I,
I've
I
really played those games, so
but yeah, well, I know you two aren't too fond of the Grand Theft Auto series, but for me, I am. And personally, that San Andreas mod is still more fun to play than say the actual official Grand Theft Auto 4 online. Uh,
yeah,
just because there's so much more variety. Because
yeah.
everyone
I
else,
mean,
everyone makes their own game modes on that game, so it's
I
like
mean, sorry, I was
the,
gonna say something, but well, I mean, I'm not a big fan of the Grand Theft Auto franchise, but not simply because of that whole thing of, oh, you're playing as a criminal. But it's just, I don't know. It's just, I feels like it kind of revels too much in just doing audacious things and stuff like that. It just feels like they're just, it's like just, I don't know.
hmm,
It just feels way too absurd for me just to conceive of that. I mean, and the reason I say that I don't have a problem with the fact that you're playing as a criminal is just, well, my friend made this argument, and I kind of agree with him, is that, if it weren't for the fact that, that a character, being a criminal weren't an intriguing thing, to see, like, then chances are Robert De Niro and all these other great actors probably wouldn't have had careers because they pretty much made their career playing criminals
that is a very good
and
point.
You
mobsters and
talking to
whatnot.
me?
Yes, yes,
You're
yes.
talking to me, huh? No one else here. Yeah,
Say hello to my little friend.
yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yeah. Thank you, Nate.
thank you.
But, yeah, but still, it's just, but yeah, I just, I mean, it's just, I don't know. I just can't really get into the whole thing of playing as someone that a bit on the unlikable side. I need a little something, just a little more, just chirpy and upbeat, I guess. Maybe I'm just a
Well,
man child.
I see where you're coming from. For me, it didn't really phase me on the Grand Theft Auto series, but I did
Hmm.
find it as annoying that sort of argument. I would give that sort of argument for Kane and Lynch. I know it sounds like a bit of a double standard, but the characters on that were really, really unlikable. Like you played as a psychopath and a mercenary. I don't know if you've heard of this series, like Kane and Lynch, but
I've heard of them. I haven't really played them, but
I heard they were thinking about making a movie out of it a few years
yeah,
back.
but
uh,
their characters are so unlikable. Like I got to a point where I was just running in like trying to get myself killed because they are that. They're not just bland, and the story is just so mediocre. It's not just that; it's just what the characters piss you off, to put it bluntly.
Yeah.
Um, and
And another.
when I saw Square Enix's name on Kane and Lynch's 2, like under Kane and Lynch 2, I was like, oh, this is going to be different. This might be a bit better. No, it's more of the same. It's just.
To be fair, I think Square Enix was like picking up the publishing rights for it in English-speaking territories, frankly, because they've been doing that just for branding purposes.
Yeah.
When they brought out Eidos, they kind of took up all of their IPs and stuff. That's why you saw Deus Ex Human Revolution with the Square Enix tag on it. Same thing goes for Tomb Raider.
Mm.
I mean, I never thought a million years that Square Enix would publish something that's not an RPG.
Yeah, I suppose.
But talking about Tomb Raider, don't you guys find it ironic how Uncharted was this big Tomb Raider clone, and now because of the state
To
of
be fair, I'm not a big fan of either franchise because I just think they're nothing more than Indiana Jones ripoffs. And like one of my friends the same friend who had that opinion I just mentioned, but he describes the Uncharted series as nothing more than an Indiana Jones ripoff, but if Dane Cook was playing the protagonist. And he doesn't like Dane Cook very much. Let's put it that way.
Fair.
And he also described the Tomb Raider series as essentially Indiana Jones only propped up by a huge pair of tits. Excuse my language, kids.
I
That's
would
his word.
sadly agree with that. The whole Tomb Raider series did get a bit bland. I never really was a fan of it on the PlayStation days either. After the first one, the formula already felt old and used.
Yeah.
To the point where all I did on Tomb Raider 2 was Lara's mansion, and then the glitch where, because in Lara's mansion you got free roam of her her mansion and her grounds.
Nice.
But you go inside the mansion, you go inside the kitchen, you open the fridge, run inside the fridge, your butler will follow you, you can jump over him and you can lock him in the fridge. That's the only fun part of the entire game, is watching your fridge now with an old man's face and arms sticking out. It's the only highlight of the game.
Glitches are fun, kids.
Yeah.
You stuffed them into the fridge. Literally.
I guess it's better than nuking the fridge.
Fair enough. Although I still like that movie. Thank you very much.
I did enjoy it. Did anyone see Nostalgia Critic's latest episode?
Oh, the one with the Temple of Doom. I saw that last night before going to bed. I still like Temple of Doom, despite it being essentially a deconstructive parody. Essentially, like what it would be like to really travel with Indiana Jones if it was the real world kind of thing.
I do enjoy that movie as well, but he raised a good point of, if everyone's going to rip on Kingdom of the Lost Skull for being ridiculous, why
the Crystal Skull? But
yeah. Sorry. But why should Temple of Doom get a free pass?
Probably because it's part of that era where George Lucas could do no wrong and stuff like that. And it's like those people who rip on the Star Wars prequels, and yet the original trilogy had its kind of cringing moments too, and yet no one says a word about it except whenever George Lucas decides to edit in something that ties it into the prequels, and like the whole, like for example, the whole Han shot first fiasco, and he actually gave a reason for why he changed that particular detail, was the fact that if he had left it as is, where Han shooting first, the rating would have changed it from a PG to the PG-13, so he changed it to Greedo shooting first just to retain the original rating that it had, because of ratings reasons being changed in the intervening years.
I mean, that's fine, but he should at least acknowledge that in the original version he did shoot first instead of just, oh, Han originally shot first. I mean, originally in the original movie, Greedo shot first.
Yeah, I know, but hey, he's probably not going to eat some humble apple pie anytime soon.
I just think personally, I think the ratings will. It's a bit off that such a minor detail can affect an entire.
Yeah, I know. It's a little bit dodgy. I mean, it's like how with Christopher Nolan's Batman movies, particularly The Dark Knight, it can be all violent as possible, but the moment someone utters like the F-bomb, oh, it goes from the PG-13 to R. I mean, people are getting blown up in like hell in The Dark Knight, and it's still a PG-13 rating.
Yeah, Dark
I mean,
Knight.
one guy, for God's sake, has a cell phone in his stomach, and it blows him up.
Well, we don't mind if the youth grow up violent. Just make sure they're well spoken.
Yeah, that's basically what they're trying to say. It seems like. But I mean, I don't want to derail the podcast with just discussing this whole thing. But
yeah.
Oh, we have two guys fighting for the death just to join a criminal syndicate. Okay. Someone says the F word. R.
No, can't have that. All right, getting back to video games.
Yeah, sounds like a good idea.
Yeah. What have you guys been playing since the last episode?
Well, I just my brother put this game on my desktop that's really good, huh?
I say the last episode. What have you guys been playing since? Well, what have you guys been playing for the last couple of weeks?
Well, not necessarily the last couple of weeks, but the last few days I've been playing this one game my brother put on my desktop after he fixed it, which is called Mechanarium, which is a really nice kind of old school point and click adventure game. And it kind of has this weird kind of rusty steampunk kind of feel to it. And you play as this little robot, and you're basically going around kind of helping people in this kind of town. And it almost also has a kind of Soviet Russia kind of vibe to it. I'm not sure if it was made by a Russian company or not, but it's a really solid game. I really like it.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I believe you can get it on Steam or something. I'm not sure.
Well, I'll have to check that out sometime.
Yeah, I've been playing a lot of Neverwinter Nights on my computer.
Awesome game.
Really enjoying that game. Also, I'm out and about a lot, so my GBASP gets a lot of one-on-one time, and on that I've been playing Mega Man Battle Network 3 Blue. Awesome game.
Yep.
A little bit of Pokemon Silver. There's times when I want to get an involved game, or most of the time I just want to pick up and play a game. And for that, like Sonic Mega Collection for the GameCube, Crash Team Racing, those are two really good pick up and play games. And also, I've been starting to play Star Wars Knights of the Republic 1 again. I just got to the part where I'm having my trials become a Padawan. What have you been playing, Dan?
Oh, for me, I've been playing 3 different games. The first one, I'm just gonna get it out there. I've played for the entirety of the game, so all 4 hours of the campaign, Modern Warfare 3.
Fun.
Yeah, it got quite it actually got quite good near the end. I don't know if that's the fact that it was genuinely exciting, or the fact was like, yay, it's nearly ending.
It's all over. Thank God I don't have to slog through this one-dimensional nonsense anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah, now I can go play a good game.
The thing is, I had invested myself into Modern Warfare 1 and Modern Warfare 2 before I started playing proper games. But I just wanted to see how the trilogy came close.
I can get with that.
It was an okay ending, I guess. I won't.
Yeah, I should probably mention another game I've been playing. I forgot to mention it, but it's the Telltale's remake of the first Monkey Island game, the Secret of Monkey Island Special Edition. I've been playing that a little bit and mentally prepping myself a bit because I'm considering doing a Let's Play of it. I just need some decent software to get that off the ground.
Awesome. That gets me to my next game actually, which is another Telltale game that I've been playing. I was lucky enough to finally snag myself a copy of Back to the Future on the Wii.
Oh, cool! Yeah, I saw that on. I have that on my computer. I have the MP3 on my hard drive. I could send it to.
But that game, oh my god, I knew it was going to be good because it just looked like a proper Back to the Future game finally. But
Oh yeah, agreed.
it surpassed all expectations. It was fantastic.
Yeah, although I'll admit though, I was a little skeptical about it, but then when I found out Christopher Lloyd was back as Doc Brown, that immediately allayed all my fears that they were going to work on doing something good. Because to me, I'm probably in the minority saying this, but Christopher Lloyd made that trilogy work for me. I mean, he's just a brilliant actor. I mean, I know a lot of people say that it was Michael J. Fox who made it work. For me, it was Christopher Lloyd. Because, anyone who can be just so broad and over the top the way he is and still keep it believable within the context of just this simple little time travel trilogy story thing.
I mean,
it's just,
I agree.
He just sold the whole thing to me.
I mean, I agree. Anybody who can make you believe that using a DeLorean as a time machine is not only a good thing, but you're going back in style, has got to be good.
Yeah. The way I see it, if you're going to build a time machine for a car, why don't do it with some style? What's the yeah, I can't remember the rest of the line. Damn
it. that game is just it really did surpass all expectations. And as a company, I do like their business model. The fact that they release the games in 5 episodes for those that either just want to play part of the story or something like that. But the reason they're so high in regard for me is when they do release the full collection and put all 5 episodes of their games together into one big game, like they've done with Sam and Max. I think they've done it.
I haven't played the Sam and Max ones. I want to, though. I've been playing Hit the Road lately, and I just on Scum VM, and I just would love to play those.
Well, I know they've done it with Back to the Future, and I hear they're going to do it with Walking Dead. The reason
I read about that.
The reason they're in such high regard for me is the price when they release those games as a full collection, as a full retail game. On release, they charge £20, which is half that in the UK for a retail game. So it's about
that's awesome. I like that. I don't know. I'm not really up on the exchange rate, so I don't know how much that would be here in the States.
That would probably be about $35.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
The fact is just, I just think it's awesome. Like I never ever buy games brand new unless there's something I really want. Like
I understand that.
But I had to, even though I got this quite late after its release, I still felt obliged to buy a brand new copy because I think for someone that because they're a relatively small company still, the fact that they charge such a fair price for it, and the game itself is absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
they deserve the support.
And not only that, but they also put a lot of effort into making sure the game is good. I mean, especially considering they got a lot of some of the Christopher Lloyd and a few other people involved in the casting for the Back to the Future game. I mean, they even got this one guy to voice Marty McFly, who does a spot-on impression because, unfortunately, Michael J. Fox is a bit ill. Although, from what I hear in the last episodes of the game, I haven't made it that far, but they actually did bring Michael J. Fox back to voice one of the McFly relatives, so that was kind of cool.
That was pretty cool, yeah. Well,
yeah. I remember seeing a clip of that, and I'm like, awesome! I was nerding out like mad.
Remember, did you clean up when you were done, Kevin?
Lovely.
Yeah, and I also had to really scrub down my keyboard with some serious bleach. But we better cut that.
That's a joke between me and Kevin.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll cut that. I promise I'll cut that. Okay. Has anyone been on any hunts recently?
Well, I was on the hunt, and one thing I picked up was I was at my local Goodwill. It was yesterday, and they had a Super Nintendo there, and it had Super Nintendo, all the hookups, RF adapter, composite jack, 2 controllers. Both controllers were in really good condition. The L and R buttons weren't caved in. Came with Super Mario World and the Top Gear game. Those were loose. Ms. Pac-Man, Frogger, and Phantom 2040. Those were boxed, all for $16.
Did you get it?
Yeah.
Yes. Awesome.
It's just there's a problem. The Super Nintendo doesn't work.
Ooh.
The thing is, I'm going to sell it to my friend James for $22.
So you haven't made a loss there.
Yeah. You
That's
know.
good. Well, I
mean, it's just going to pay for what I paid for it and my trip back home. The rest of the train ticket.
Yeah. Fair enough.
And the other hunting find is I found a bunch of Game Boy cables, 2 link cables, and a original Game Boy AC adapter for like 40 cents.
I used to have one of those, actually, a Game Boy AC adapter. God, those were the days.
Yeah.
Well, for me, my hunt has been relatively, like, I haven't been on that many, but two that stick out was the one where I picked up Back to the Future on the Wii, as well as a limited edition copy of Lords of Arcana, with the art book and soundtrack. I already had a copy for the PSP, which is going to Nick when I.
Thank you.
Yay!
Thank you. Come again.
And then the hunt afterwards actually was the one where I got the best thing, because I remember telling Nick the story about this Resident Evil big box PC game that I saw inches away in the window of this thrift store, or as we call them, charity shop, and it was literally like a couple of inches away, but the store had closed down, or as I so thought. It turned out they'd been gone for a week, and I was just walking around in the area for a hunt, and they happened to be open, and I managed to run in, snag myself the copy, as well as a copy of Simon the Sorcerer.
Love that series. At least the first two, anyway. That's the only ones I've really played, thanks to Scum PM. But
and Warhammer 40,000, Dawn of War, Dark Crusade. And as a Warhammer 40,000 fan, I was very happy to snag that. It didn't have the booklet, so I cannot install it without the serial key. But I shall use Google. And
Arr!
Well, technically it's not piracy because I own the game. I'm just missing the serial key.
Makes sense to me.
But yeah. Overall, I was very, very happy. Even though the Resident Evil doesn't work on my computer, I still got one for the collection.
I'm the same way with my PC games. Like, I have 2 PC games that one installs but doesn't boot up. One installs, boots up, but has graphical problems, but I still have them.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I can still play Resident Evil at any time because I have the PS1 port. The main reason I wanted the PC version was just because, for a Resident Evil fan, it just looks amazing on the shelf, like a big box copy of Resident Evil.
Yeah. Basically for completion's sake, I can get with that.
Definitely. But yeah, so those have been my pickups.
I mean, I don't do much in the way of hunting in terms of games, but I will admit that I found this completely by accident a few years ago at my local GameStop, back when it actually used to be good. But
it was good at one point.
Well, back when it was called Funko Land, but whatever. At least for me, but at least this local GameStop was pretty decent. It didn't really try to hammer you to get Game Informer and all this other ancillary nonsense. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But I was just looking through to see their used GameCube games, seeing if I could get a few GameCube games to get, to add to my collection of GameCube games to play while I was up at. This was like while I was still at MCTI, Nick. I think it was actually before I met you.
Huh.
But and MCTI is a trade school where Nick and I met, by the way.
Yeah, that GameStop was decent. That GameStop was decent.
But that's neither here nor there. But anyway, but basically, I was just looking, and I looked on the shelf for like $20. I saw the version of Zelda Ocarina of Time for the GameCube that you would only be able to get unless you pre-ordered Wind Waker.
Oh,
And I decided, okay, I'm getting this.
oh,
I'm getting this because otherwise I'm not going to ever have a chance to get it again.
I was very, very lucky. I've got that same collector's edition.
It was the one with Master Quest though. It's not the collector's thing with like.
You mean the Ocarina of Time Master and Ocarina of Time Master Quest?
Yeah, the disc that had original Ocarina of Time and Master Quest. It wasn't the collector's one with all the original Zelda games on it.
Oh, okay.
Like Majora's Mask and all that.
Oh,
Kind of a shame I didn't get that one too, find that one because I would have loved to play a little more Majora's Mask.
The thing is,
Project 64.
The thing is, I probably wouldn't have got that for Majora's Mask just because that disc is notorious for Majora's Mask in the fact that it's prone to freezing.
Oh.
That port.
I mean, all they did was.
I didn't hear anything about that. I heard it actually ran a lot smoother on the GameCube version. But.
I mean, all they did was emulate it. They didn't do actually porting. They just wrote a GameCube NC4 emulator for the GameCube and just slapped the ROMs on there.
Yeah,
That's how they've been able to actually dump some of the Master Quest ROM.
I suppose.
But yeah, sadly,
But yeah, it was there for $20. I decided, no, I'm not going to get this again. I'm probably not going to see this again if I come back like a few months later. So I figure I might as well pick it up now. I mean, and I had some money left over from some of the other GameCube games I was going to purchase.
definitely. I would have been exactly. Well, I was kind of with my collector's edition. I know it's a different one, but it's still the same principle. When you see something like that, it's not something you're going to find again. Well, and if you do, it's.
And the strange thing is, before the Sunday, a few days before I had left MCTI for the holidays, I was playing a bit of my friend's copy of it, and he had actually pre-ordered Wind Waker and stuff, and got that game. So I kept my save data on my memory card, and I was just lucky enough to find it at GameStop when I came home for the holidays and spent some of my Christmas cash. It was awesome.
I think that's kind of like me with what I found one time. Like so like probably one of my greatest finds was getting within like a 2 to 3 month period, I found 3 copies of FF7, 2 green labels, 1 black label, and they were all $3 each.
Mm.
I mean, the black label, I'm just so happy to have. And plus, there's like when I got my Tales of Symphonia and my GameCube all at once.
Yeah, Tales of Symphonia is a great game.
Yeah.
I really need to see if I could pick that up one time. I think I only have 2 rare GameCube games. I've got the rare port of Resident Evil 2 and the Zelda Collector's Edition.
Mm.
I don't have that many GameCube games. I have like Resident Evil 0, Resident Evil 1, 2, Mario Sunshine, Mario Kart Double Dash, Super Smash Bros.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get Super Smash Brothers eventually.
And then Ty the Tasmanian Tiger, just because I love that game.
I hear that one's good. I haven't played that one.
I guess that's kind of like me with the first 4 Crash Bandicoot games.
But yeah, so like I don't have that many GameCube games, but I'm quite pleased with the games I have because normally I've had to pay quite a lot for the games that I've got, but they're all games that I really, really wanted. So Nick, I heard that you found a fail on Craigslist.
Oh, it was horrible, horrible. Good segue, by the way.
Yes.
I provided a link in the chat box at somewhere. Um, basically, some crackhead, for all I can imagine, is selling a original working Sega Genesis with games for.
Awesome.
Can I have a drum roll, please? $400.
Wow.
Yeah, and the
What?
I'm
games that
looking at it
have
right
with
now,
it.
actually.
Where is this bargain? I must buy it immediately.
Yes, I must empty my savings and buy a game system that I can probably buy for like 1/100th of the price.
Yeah, I paid what, £10 for mine in the box.
The games it has with it are Adam's Family, Wheel of Fortune, and Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
What
I
games
mean,
did I get with mine? Altered Beast, Streets of Rage 2, Sonic 2, all boxed and complete. I think I'm perfectly fine with the one I've got.
yeah. The thing is, he has pictures, and the thing looks dirty as all heck.
Yeah, I
I
know.
mean,
It looks like somebody. It looks like somebody should take one of those like, kind of like those really cold air things, that you use to clean out your keyboard that goes, and use
yeah,
it to
he's
kind of
showing that
clear
it's
out the
like.
joints a bit.
I mean, yeah, he's showing that it works, but I wouldn't buy that. I wouldn't buy that thing for 20 bucks. You know,
Yeah, I mean,
if he offered it for like 10, I'd pick it up. But 400,
yeah.
hell, effing.
Somebody's probably really active in their disease and they're desperate or something. I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
pretend to be an expert on such things. I'm just saying.
yeah. It's not like your Dr. Phil.
Yeah.
We all know he's the expert.
Tell you what though, um, I want to know something then. What is the most overpriced game or something that you've ever seen? Personally, for mine, my story's a bit boring. It's just Championship Manager 2007, like a couple of weeks back. I mean, granted, it was a rip-off. It was like £10 or what, $15, $15 to $17 for Championship Manager 2007.
Mm-hmm.
I remember like years ago. This was like before I became a hunter, and I didn't know jack crap. There was this like flea market going on. I was walking around, and this person was trying to sell a a Nintendo for $175, and the games were going for like some ridiculous amount each. Even back then, me not knowing jack crap, I knew it was a ridiculous deal.
Bitches be crazy.
Oh, it was a guy.
Tripping balls, man. Yeah.
Yeah. I would really love to smoke some of the stuff that the guy that was selling it was smoking. There's probably some
The thing
good...
is, I would love to call out somebody on their bad deals over the phone, but I would not do it in person. I mean, you know,
Agreed.
because they can't reach over and hit you over the phone.
Yeah. But I'm not sure if this would be right in the same kind of wheelhouse in terms of like overpriced stuff, but it's from my point of view it is. But I was at the same local GameStop a few years later. This was like the laugh from when I happened. I decided to look at the GameCube games again, and I saw for like they wanted like $40 for a used copy of Pikmin 2. I'm like, I understand it's a rare game, but charging it $40 used, which was like almost the same as like the actual retail price. I don't think so. Especially since they were also selling the original Pikmin for like $30 cheaper.
Yeah. I had no idea
And I'm like, this is the GameCube version. I'm talking about, by the way.
Yeah.
And now, what with Nintendo of America recently announcing that they're going to release the Wii version of Pikmin 2 out here in the States after it being out in Europe and Australia for a few years now,
Yeah.
I'm sure GameStop probably won't reduce the price.
Well, they don't carry games. Well, they don't carry GameCube games anymore, so it's kind of a mute point.
Oh, I was at a game. Sorry, that's my mom. But anyway, feel free to cut that.
God, I'm
But I remember going to a GameStop not too long ago, actually, and I saw a few GameCube games there, and I almost bought one of them that I really wanted to get, which was Star Fox Adventures, but I thought, nah, I don't know.
Well, the thing is, they stopped taking trade-ins, and when they get rid of their stock, that's it.
Yeah,
Like,
so I figured screw it. I mean, I'm probably one of the few people to say this, but I actually kind of liked Star Fox Adventures, even if Nintendo kind of basically dolled it up to be a Star Fox entry.
I mean, I've watched the reviews of it, and people have said if it hadn't have carried the Star Fox name, it would have been a good game. I mean, it originally wasn't developed as a Star Fox game. It was
Yeah, I
originally
know.
developed as a game called Dinosaur Planet by Rare. It's just
Yeah,
Nintendo made them, plaster Star Fox on it.
and mostly because of the simple fact that the character happened to look like Fox,
mm.
supposedly.
Well, it was basically playing it safe, isn't it? Instead of making a new IP, just plaster it on an IP that's already established.
More or less.
But going back to Pikmin, I've actually had no experience with this game, and I'm looking at the We Buy It page, which is CEX's website, and I'm thinking for £8, I'm willing to give it a go, and just to add to my game collection, my GameCube collection.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, how is the game itself?
Star Fox?
No, Pikmin.
Oh, Pikmin. Pikmin's fun. It's like a real time. I mean, I'm not usually keen on real time strategy games, but this one's kind of basic and kind of fun.
Mm.
And I mean, it's like even though this game came out years later, one of my friends kind of described it as like Overlord, only a little more cutesy.
Oh, I do love a bit of Overlord, but
Yeah, it's like the cutesy version of Overlord, even though Overlord came out years later.
well,
So, although I kind of like Pikmin 2 a bit more because instead of like collecting ship parts for like survival, you're basically going around collecting treasures and stuff. But I don't know. I find it a little more fun. And plus, it has two more different Pikmin varieties, like the white ones that are immune to poison and really fast, and the purple ones which are like really bulky and kick a lot of ass.
that's pretty cool. Well,
Yeah.
I'll probably end up picking it up then tomorrow.
Yeah, but I mean, I like both Pikmin games. Don't get me wrong, but I prefer the second one.
Mm.
I looked up a picture of Dinosaur Planet and put it in the chat.
Oh, yeah. I remember seeing this screenshot.
I see the resemblance.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know then. I would have rather they kept it as Dinosaur Planet. Because even though Star Fox...
I know I would have played it regardless because I love dinosaurs. So.
Yeah, I just think even though Star Fox Adventures isn't as bad as people say, it would have still been better to have a new interesting IP instead of...
Yeah, that's the whole problem now, even with gaming nowadays is that whenever someone tries to make a new IP to kind of get things like to make things a little more interesting and stuff, it kind of gets swallowed up by the larger IPs that are a little more profitable.
Yeah.
At least the Empire would still be able to remain its own IP.
Or sometimes the gaming press will just base it more or less, not give it the time of day because it's not because they feel it's kind of almost like a rip off of a older game that's a lot in their mind a lot better. Like, I'm going to give an example. This isn't just me blowing off steam, but basically, there's this one RPG for the DS I really like. It's called Black Sigil Blade of the Exiled. It was made by a Canadian company as kind of a love letter to the RPGs of the Super Nintendo era, like Chrono Trigger and whatnot. And even some of the gameplay cues were taken from Chrono Trigger, in terms of like dual text and triple text and whatnot. And also the kind of like active time battle system with the bars, filling up so the characters take their turns attacking the monsters. But the only thing, my only complaint, and I thought it was a pretty solid game. My only complaint with it is just the high random encounter rate, particularly on the world map, can be a bit stifling at times. But overall, I thought it was a nice kind of decidedly old school experience. But it kind of got swallowed up by some other games that were coming out on the DS around that same time. some of the gaming press like IGN were just kind of derided it and said, "You're better off playing Chrono Trigger again."
I mean, like, even some of the press can be even kind of hypocritical and, double talk, because there's this iOS game that came out called Mage Gauntlet, which the developers openly stated in their interviews that they were inspired by Secret of Mana. Okay?
Yeah.
And the game plays. I've seen, like, videos of it, and it plays like Secret of Mana, just with a new kind of twist, okay? And and all the reviewers saying, we're like loving it. Now, granted, it may have been a different type of press, because like the iOS press is more tolerant of retro style experiences.
Yeah.
It's just
I don't know.
Sometimes the press can be kind of double-sided. It really depends on.
I really don't know what's going on with IGN now because of the whole double talk thing. I mean, this happened a few years ago, but this is kind of the thing that almost made me swear off reading their stuff anymore. Yeah, I don't want to swear too much, but reading their stuff that much anymore was basically they published two different articles within a week of one another. One was about trends that are helping gaming and trends that are hurting gaming. And, they posted the trends that are hurting gaming one first. And the thing that they listed in common on both of them was casual gamers. And they published these within a week of one another. And basically, when they published the trends that are hurting gaming and listed casual gaming at the top of the list, basically, all these people are like, yeah, fuck casual gamers, blah, 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 in the comments. And then when they published the other one saying, like, and stuff, those same people kind of accused IGN of being flip-floppers and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, if you're going to list the same thing on both things, that just doesn't, trends that are hurting and helping gaming, that just doesn't sit well with me.
I think what they're trying to say, I hate to be devil's advocate, they're trying to say it's both helping and hurting. Maybe they just didn't explain it well enough.
Yeah, but the thing is,
I don't think they explained it well enough, really, at all.
If you want to talk about IGN and double standards, what about the whole fiasco of Mario Kart 7 and Modern Warfare 3? When they gave Mario Kart 7, what was it, a 6 or something out of 10? Well, a 6 or a 7 out of 10, and said that they got such a low rating because they didn't change anything. And then went in the following week and awarded Modern Warfare 3, 9.5 or 9 out of 10 or something like that?
Yeah.
And it's pretty much the same game, just different weapons.
And also just a more ridiculously over-the-top story that looks like something you'd see in a 70s-era Bond movie, probably.
I mean,
with more modern sensibilities.
Each new Call of Duty these games would work better as like an expansion pack. Like if they labeled it as like an expansion pack for the game, I'd be more
even better. Or even better, like the whole thing with those Madden games, those football games. I mean, it seems like every time they release a new Madden game, it's always just a minute little roster update to bring it up to date with whichever football players are on whatever team and what their physical stats are, and just when at this point it should be taken care of through downloadable content. But no, they still basically take advantage of the fact that it's basically they're churning out the same game with a minute roster update every year and slapping a $50 label on it.
I don't know what's worse, that the fact that they do it, or that the masses lap it up and like crazy, and it's the best-selling game every year.
Yeah, but that's the thing. They lap it up, so the companies won't need to change. I mean, if they've got to do minimum work, maximum payoff, they will.
Yeah, unfortunately, too many people are kind of doing that nowadays, and it's just EA or whatever the company is that released those Madden games is criminally guilty of it, frankly.
Okay, yeah.
Definitely.
But,
So, finally.
Oh, yeah, what's this? Never mind.
So, we've got our miscellaneous discussion. I wanted to talk for this episode about the state of a point-and-click series that I really love.
Mm-hmm.
That I mentioned earlier, Simon the Sorcerer.
Yeah. Or
I just want to discuss the fact that what's happened to it. Nobody knows of it anymore.
Well, it's kind of starting to make a comeback with like the Telltale games, and you do have quite a bit of point and click adventures on like the iOS and Android platform. Because if you think about it,
but I mean the Simon the Sorcerer series, like specifically, I bet nobody has seen it on the 360, PS3, or PC, even though it's out on all three platforms. I bet you nobody has seen it in a retail store.
Probably not.
The fact is, if you search gameplay videos on YouTube, you'll be lucky to find video. Like the most viewed videos have probably got a couple of thousand, couple of hundred video views. Even Simon the Sorcerer fans do not know that the series is still going. It's quite bad.
Yeah, that is kind of sad. Even though I just got into the series recently, thanks to playing the first two on Scum VM.
And they're really funny games. Like,
oh yeah, it's like Harry Potter, only a little more naughty. At least to me, at least that's the vibe I got when I started playing them.
I love the pop culture references. The one that made me laugh was the wizarding tournament in Simon the Sorcerer 2. You are number 42. Please wait in the line with the other wizards. I am not the number. I am a free man. Really? We're going to shamelessly quote.
Is that a reference to the prisoner?
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
The guy at the counter even says, really? You're going to shamelessly quote the prisoner now?
Lampshade hanging at its finest, folks.
Yeah. But
I heard there were a few Red Dwarf references in the first one. I haven't made it that far in it, but that's what I heard. It's because it was kind of an in-joke on the fact that one of the actors from Red Dwarf does the voice of Simon in the first game. There's kind of an in-joke to that.
Well, the fact that one of the very first naughty joke I remember was Simon the Sorcerer 2, yet again. Do you know the wizard shop and the woman with the large breasts? And then
vaguely. I vaguely remember that.
And then you say to her, Did anyone tell you I'm a greengrocer? No. Well, I am. And I've got a particular interest in melons.
That reminds me so much of Isun from Okami, and how he feels about sake.
I really, really wish more people would just give that series a try, because it's really, to say it's fallen under the radar is an understatement.
Definitely.
What platforms is the whole series on?
Well, the first two games are obviously for the PC, and you can play them on Scum VM.
They're on PC and some retro computers, and then the third one is strictly PC only, and then 4 and 5 are PC, PS3, 360.
Okay.
Definitely.
Which one would you recommend I start with? The first one?
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't hurt.
I'll look into it.
Sworded! Kill Sworded! Anyway. Yeah, I love the name of the bad guy, Sworded. So appropriate.
I mean, like, if you think about it, like these touch-based devices like tablets and the Android and iOS devices, they're like perfectly suited for point-and-click adventures. Perfectly suited.
Definitely. I mean, the DS has kind of become a little bit of that as well when they released the director's cut of the first Broken Sword game for the DS and Wii. Although unfortunately the DS version lacks the voiceovers, which kind of ruffled my feathers a bit.
Yeah.
Because without the voice acting, it just feels hollow to me. Because the voice acting is what kept me engaged when I first played the original version of the game.
Right.
You know. I don't know, something about voice acting just keeps me going in the story and keeps me interested.
See, voice acting when done, voice acting can either make or break a game.
Yeah, in fact, one of my favorite moments was in the very start of the game when if you like have when you have moved the main character off of the away from the cafe where at the beginning of the game that's blown up. This one French police officer holds him a gun like, and George the main character says, "Don't shoot! I'm innocent. I'm an American." And the French police officer says, "Can't make up your mind, huh?" I thought that was actually pretty funny.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I may be an American, but I don't mind a little that kind of humor as long as it's done tastefully and not like mean spirited. Like take that American
definitely.
brash, arrogant a-hole.
Yeah.
I love just the gentle ribbing. I guess.
I mean,
I like.
You got to be able to make fun of yourself.
Definitely.
Oh yeah, self-deprecation is an art form to some people.
Dan, did you make sure to brush your teeth today?
No, of course not. I'm British.
British Dentistry, one of the shortest books ever written. No, just kidding. I was referencing Whose Line there, but oh god, we're derailing things.
But the thing is, I did brush my teeth last week. Sugar cane,
Fair enough.
What did you use ice cream as toothpaste?
No.
I would have used sherbet.
No. Don't be silly. You can't put something that cold in your teeth. You need something like you just need like double cream or something.
How about some custard?
Ooh, yes.
Yeah, I'm sure custard.
Maybe a few fish fingers. A few fish fingers to go with it, which kind of brings me to some of the geeky stuff that I've been doing lately, like that's Doctor Who,
Yeah, gotta love some Doctor.
For those of you who don't live in the UK, because it's pretty much a phenomenon over there, and elsewhere it's kind of a cult thing. It's like a British. Well, I don't want to say sci-fi because it can do all sorts of different genres, even within the same episode. But it's basically a story of a guy who looks. He's an alien, but he looks like a human who basically travels through time and space in a ship that looks like a 1960s police box, just with it. And he just goes around fighting monsters, righting wrongs, and just all around being a hero, basically. Even though he wasn't really a hero at the beginning, as far as I understand it. But,
it has a really, really good theme.
Oh yeah, the theme tune is great. It's one of my favorite arrangements by far are the current one for that's been playing since the 5th season of the 2005 revival. Began, with Matt Smith playing the 11th Doctor, and also this one arrangement that played for a trilogy of audio stories that Big Finish Productions made, where the 8th Doctor had Frankenstein author Mary Shelley as his traveling companion. Yeah, thanks for that, Nick. Oh, jeez.
Can you recognize which?
I'm probably going to show off my nerdiness and probably think that's the original 1963 arrangement. This, my friend, is Doctor Who's been around for nearly 50 years.
You win double nerd points.
Thanks for that.
But yeah, that theme tune never fails to get me pumped for an episode. Never.
Agreed. No matter.
Yeah, that's a great theme.
Or even when it starts up like when I'm listening to one of Big Finish's audios, when I hear it start to play, I'm like, oh boy, I can't wait to hear the story.
Definitely.
Yeah. As if the title alone of the story wouldn't intrigue me enough. I'm particularly intrigued by this one story that's coming out in September called Gods and Monsters. That's really sounds really cool.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's like the third part of a trilogy. It's a third part.
There are those who worship me. I warn you, it could start a war.
It's not that kind of Gods and Monsters, Nick. But it's like the last part of a trilogy of stories that in this.